Good afternoon. Welcome to Africa Today. I am Wisdom Onisi. First, the headlines. Tinubu begs university workers to allow negotiations. South African Minister of International Relations hails ties with China ahead of BRICS summit. Tunisian President Kais Saied takes oath for his second presidential term. And on sport, under 17 WWC, Flamingos finished top of Group A, set up date with USA in quarterfinal. Now the news in details. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu on Tuesday appealed to members of the staff of Nigerian universities to give peace a chance and avail themselves of the opportunity of negotiations created by his administration. The Academic Staff Union of University, Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities, and the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities are all geared up for strikes, following the failure of the government to meet up their demands. The unions were demanding the payment of their withheld salaries during the 2022 strike, among others, as they faulted the non-implementation of the 2009 agreement. Tinubu, however, urged that the unions should embrace negotiation as he remained unwavering in his determination to ensure varsities are no longer shut to students. Still on the local news, where we have you know that the federal government has said it will examine state laws on the conduct of local government polls, as well as scrutinize why some state governments have delayed the conduct of their local government election. The Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, who disclosed this in Ekiti on Tuesday, said there was no going back on the federal government plan to implement the Supreme Court ruling on local government autonomy. Currently, no fewer than 164 local governments in 8 states have yet to conduct election. There have been reports President Bola Tinubu may implement the Supreme Court ruling by the end of October. This means the affected local governments may have their federal allocation seized by the federal government in line with the court ruling. The Supreme Court ruling indicates that it is illegal and unconstitutional for governors to continue to receive or retain funds allocated to the local councils under the state and local government joint account. Also have you know that the National Security Advisor Nuhu Rabadu on Tuesday said the federal government has piqued interest in the interrogation of the Gulf of Guinea as a major route for arms trafficking into Nigeria. He noticed that several reports had revealed that small and light weapons were done through the maritime sector. Rabadu, who was represented by the Director of External Affairs Office of the National Security Advisor Ibrahim Babani, spoke at a seminar in Abuja. The NSA stressed the need for further investigation into the connection between climate change, armed conflict, and the spread of weapons across the Gulf of Guinea countries. Rabadu also said threats in the maritime sector had evolved from looting to kidnapping. Highlighting the positives of the Gulf of Guinea, the NSA noted that the region holds an estimated 24 billion barrels of crude oil reserves, contributing approximately 5 million barrels daily to the global crude supply. When we return, news from other parts of West Africa. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Now news from other parts of West Africa. Ghana's Attorney General Godfred Damel has filed his statement as the second defendant in the Supreme Court case brought by Majority Leader Alexander Afeno Maki. The case challenges the Speaker of Parliament's decision to oust 4 members of Parliament who declared their intent to run as independent candidates ahead of the December 2024 election. In his statement, filed on October 21, 2024, Dame argued that the Constitution does not mandate the vacation of a seat by the MP who files to contest a future election as an independent candidate or under a different party ticket. He emphasized that an MP seat can only be vacated during the current term if they switch parties or become independent within the lifespan of the existing parliament. Away from that, the South African Minister of International Relations and Cooperation spoke positively about bilateral relations between Moscow and Beijing ahead of the BRICS Summit of Emerging Economies that kicked off on Tuesday in Russia. Ronald Lamallo described the relationship between the two nations as based on mutual trust and said that South Africa is open to more investment and collaboration.
Relationship of trust, which is mutually beneficial, with the Chinese companies having invested a lot in our country. We are looking at the beneficiation in our country, value add in South Africa, and also local manufacturing,
which
we believe can help drive our economy. And as South Africa is a gateway to the African continent, companies that invest in our country, they also have access to the continent as a whole. So we continue to welcome and invite Chinese companies to continue to invest in South Africa. They found it a very good, friendly business environment, which they continue to participate.
The BRICS Summit will last until October 24th. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa were initially included in the BRICS alliance. The summit will be the first since the alliance expanded to encompass Egypt, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Ethiopia, and Iran. Now we move to other parts of Africa after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now news from other parts of Africa. Tunisian President Kais Saied has been sworn in for a second term following a month-long crackdown and a series of arrests against his political opponent. A few weeks after being re-elected with 90.7% of vote, this 66-year-old former law professor called in his investiture speech for a cultural revolution to fight unemployment, terrorism, and corruption. In a statement to members of the Tunisian parliament, said the goal is to build a country where everyone can live with dignity. Said re-election on October 7 came after a turbulent first term in office in which he suspended the country's parliament, rewrote its post-Arab Spring constitution, and jailed dozens of his critics in politics, the media, business, and civil society. He justified some crackdowns as necessary to combat corruption and enemies of the state, using populism to appeal to Tunisians disillusioned with the direction his predecessors took the country after nationwide protests that led to the oustal of Zine El Abidine Ben Ali in 2011. Away from that, the day after M23 rebels had seized the eastern town of Kalembe, the Congolese army announced they had taken it back. However, the rebels claimed that they still have control over Kalembe. The M23 incursion into the town broke an Angola-mediated ceasefire agreed upon in August. Kalembe is located in North Kivu province, which has been particularly hard hit since the M23 group launched a renewed insurgency in the country's east 2 years ago. Congo and the UN accused neighboring Rwanda of supporting the group allegation that Kigali strongly denies. Rwanda deems the Hutu extremist group in eastern DRC to a danger to its frontier. The M23 rebel, mainly composed of Tutsi fighters, having swaths of territory in the eastern DRC after their offensive began 3 years ago. Millions have been forced from their homes as a result of fighting, which has also exacerbated a humanitarian crisis in the North Kivu. Up next is business. Stay with us.
This is Hillstv. Quality broadcasting is what we'll bring to you. Now we be this
Hillstv, Poker.
Welcome back now to business news. The federal government has stopped the export, of locally produced liquefied petroleum gas, also known as cooking gas, to prioritize domestic supply. The measure announced by the Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Beribe Ebo, on Tuesday will begin November 1st, 2024, and is to tackle the high gas price in Nigeria. This was contained in a statement by the spokesman of the minister, Lois Iba, in Abuja. Iba said the decision was reached after the minister convened a high-level meeting in Abuja with stakeholders to address the skyrocketing price and its attendant hardship on Nigerians. The price of cooking gas skyrocketed from 700 naira per kg in June 2023, around when President Bola Tinubu assumed office, to 1,500 naira per kg in October 2024. These represent about a 114% increase within the 16 months. Still on business news, the organizers of the China Commodities Expo Nigeria have said the expo will enhance trade partnership between the two countries and foster future growth and collaboration. The 2024 China Commodities Expo Nigeria, organized by Britwell International Exhibition and the Trade Development Bureau of China's Ministry of Commerce, with support from the Chinese consulate in Lagos and Nigerian government entities, will take place from November 5th to 8th, 2024 in Lagos. According to a statement from the organizer, the expo will host over 250 Chinese manufacturers and attract more than 5,000 buyers from Nigeria and neighboring countries seeking business opportunities. It stated that since 1971, China-Nigeria relations had remained strong. Still to come is sport. Stay with us.
This is Hillstv. Quality broadcasting is what we'll bring to you. Now we be this
Welcome back now to sport news. Nigerians Flamingos finished top of Group A with 9 points at the 2024 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup following a 1-0 victory over host of Dominican Republic on Wednesday morning. Bankole Oluwakere's side have already booked their spot in the quarterfinals after last Saturday's 4-0 rout of Ecuador, but were determined to finish their group stage campaign on a high. Shakirat Moshood scored the winning goal 1 minute from time. The Nigerian girls dominated proceedings, but the host put up a resolute display at the back to keep them at bay. Moshood had the ball in the back of the net after 15 minutes, but the goal was chucked off after central referee consulted VAR. The Flamingos had to wait until late in the game before breaking the deadlock. Moshood fired home from outside the box to hand the West African maximum point from the game. It was the youngest first goal of the tournament. Nigeria will face United States of America in the quarterfinal on Saturday. Still on sport news, Bayer Leverkusen manager Xabi Alonso has confirmed Victor Boniface will miss the club's UEFA Champions League clash with Brest. Boniface was involved in a ghastly car accident on Sunday morning. The Nigerian international sustained minor injuries during the accident. The 23-year-old has not trained with his teammate since the unfortunate incident. Alonso claimed the forward still needed time to recover from the shock in the aftermath. The gaffer further stated that the striker is not emotionally ready for the encounter with Brest. And that's your sport news on Africa Today. We move to the rest of the news after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now the rest of the news. Gabon is set to conduct a referendum on November 16th regarding a proposed new constitution, marking an important move towards restoring a civilian government as promised by the military junta following a coup, according to the transitional government. The final draft of the new constitution project was made public on Monday, October 21st in Gabon. An inclusive national dialogue is set to convene, bringing together citizens and civil society groups to allow everyone to suggest reforms for the new constitutional framework. The proposed constitution will provide for a structure without a prime minister, featuring a 7-year presidential term that can be renewed once, with only individuals born to Gabonese parents eligible for the presidency. French will continue to be the official language of Gabon, and there may be a proposal for mandatory military service for all citizens. There will be a focus on safeguarding individual liberties and ensuring the separation of powers to strengthen democracy. At the end of this process, a referendum is planned on the 16th of November to present the draft constitution for public approval. And that's Africa Today. But before we go, here are the headlines again. We told you that Tinubu begs university workers to allow negotiation. And we also informed you that South Africa Minister of International Relations hails ties with China ahead of BRICS Summit. We told you that Tunisian President Kais Saied takes oath for his second presidential term. And on sport, we brought you that Flamingo finished top of Group A, set up date with USA in quarter-final. Remember to visit us on Facebook at Hillstv and Instagram at Hillstv Abuja and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Hillstv. I am Wisdom Onisi. Thanks for watching.